What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the Flyin podcast. Sorry for the delay in getting you guys some episodes out. We've had some scheduling issues, but we are back with another episode. Unfortunately, coming back to you with two huge, terrible losses while we were gone. Maslij, talk to me about the state of the team. What are you thinking? What are your thoughts? We lost to the Giants, which was horrendous, and we lost to the Broncos, which was still horrendous, a little less so. It was more so we kind of like let that game away. Giants game we were never in. I know we were up at a point, but it never really felt like we were controlling that game at any point. So state of the team's in a bit of disarray. What are you thinking, Maz?
Well, I just know it's because we haven't done the podcast, and me and Matt talked about this. We are the reason that they win football games, and we have to tell them what's wrong with their team. So clearly, going into a Thursday night football game against a division rival, obviously rookie quarterback Jackson Dart is obviously top 5 quarterback in the league. Cam Scatterby is probably the best running back in the league, and then you got a dynamic duo of wide receivers with Wandale Robinson and Lil Jordan Humphrey. Yes, that's his name. Lil Jordan Humphrey is cooking us. Yes. Jaden Carter is out and Q ended up going out for injury. That game was hard to watch is an understatement. Especially it was just right after the Phillies. And I'm watching this game and I just want to punch a hole in the wall. That game was just brutal. Our offense was moving at a point. I mean, stats sheets will show that Jalen had a good game-ish if you want to go by yards, but he threw a crucial interception even at that point, it never felt like we were going to win that game. It felt like the Giants just straight up owned us. I think the main thing was when the first touchdown the Giants got when Jackson Dart made Zach Bond look like me playing linebacker, like a little boy, and completely like juked him out of the way and just runs through our defense into the end zone for a 20-yard run. I was like, well, yeah, this is going to be a long game. It was a game that we thought we could just show up and win, honestly. And I don't know if that was actually their mentality, but you look at that Giants roster, you're like, why? What their defense has no reason of holding us to 17 points. We have our defense has no reason to give up 34 points to the freaking Giants. I mean, it's just brutal. It was just an all-around brutal game for I don't think anyone really played well. And it was horrendous. It was embarrassing. And I mean, other than Goddard played well. But
Yeah, sitting on my fantasy bench.
oh, same. Don't worry. Yeah, it was a horrible game. It was just disgusting. I have Giants fans texting me still to this day because that's their Super Bowl. Just beating the crowd. They went to the game and they didn't expect to win this game. They go, it would be fun. It would be funny if it was like a 2-score game, like till the end. Like a Giants fan that was actually has respectable knowledge was like, yeah, it would just be fun to keep it close with you guys. No, they just beat the brakes off us basically. Like now we go into this mini bye and we'll see. There's a lot of things that have to change and we can keep going at this game. But what do you take away from this game as another back-to-back loss and just this game losing against what seems to be an inferior team, but if you look at stats, we're just a mid-team. How do you feel about the state of the Eagles and what is going on?
Well, I mean, I think there's so many factors that are factoring into what's happening right now. It's almost hard to name all of them. But I'm actually going to sit here and I'm going to try to point out all the things that I think are going on with the Eagles. First and foremost is the offensive line just being injured. I think, everybody likes to talk about how great of a season Saquon Barkley had last year and how the run game was so great. And just as Saquon rushed for over 2,000 yards, those guys blocked for over 2,000 yards, plus the playoffs, and some. And those guys were getting beat up every single game, and we're tired. And Landon was playing a lot of that season last year hurt and came into this season hurt again. You saw Lane Johnson get hurt early on and try to play through it, and he's been getting banged up every game. Jordan Mailata, despite that he's not injured right now, he's even said that, this offseason, he never felt like he really recovered. Like he felt like he was just tired. He felt like he was exhausted all the time, and he feels like it hasn't even fully gone away. And I think that a big part of what's going on right now with the run game and protecting Jalen, and that affects the pass game as well, is the O-line is not playing as well as we're used to, and that's definitely not helping things. Losing Mekhi Becton hurts more than you thought it did, and that's the focal point. We've obviously talked about this many times, and it's always been the mindset of the Eagles to win and lose on the line of scrimmage. When you're losing on the line of scrimmage, you lose games, and that's where it starts. Secondly, I'm not putting the blame on Kevin Patullo, but I certainly don't think he's a good play caller or a good play designer. I think that there's been a lot of times this season where I see the receivers, running route concepts that have them all in the same area, which that should never happen in a game. And I see it happen multiple times a game. You're not using things to bounce off of each other, which I've talked about on this podcast a million times. You're not using the slant route with AJ to then go with a slant and go. And I know you have used it. We've seen it. And the times we have seen it are the times that he's gotten the most open, for the record. But, you're not doing anything to break guys open. You're not pulling any motion across the line of scrimmage. You're not rolling out. And that leads to my third problem is Jalen or Nick Sirianni or Kevin Patullo, whoever it may be, their inability to run an offense from under center. It's going to forever kill this team. They just refuse to run plays from under center because running from under center opens up so many different options between the run game, the play action game, and just plain old rollouts with Jalen Hurts and, using his legs to the fullest capability. I don't know if that's Jalen being, sensitive to taking, snaps under center or, having to take his eyes off of the defense and get them back around. I don't know. We do know that Jalen has problems, scanning the field. So maybe he does have trouble, getting his eyes in the right spot once he turns his back to the defense. I don't know. Point being, you're wasting so much potential in the offense by just limiting yourselves to shotgun and pistol and using one for the run and one for the pass. It's a given what you're going to run every single time. And it's elementary to stop it. And you're seeing teams do it. I mean, yes, you're seeing Jalen throw the ball more and with more success, which is a plus because you're seeing that he can do that. He can pass the ball if you give him 30 times to pass the ball. But you still have to balance out the offense. You still have to run the ball at the right times, which going back to the Broncos game, there was quite a few times that we should have been running the ball that we weren't. That whole fourth quarter, we were leading the game, winning the game. But you know why we're passing the ball? Because we're trying to appease to freaking A.J. Brown and the drama that he's bringing to the team. And let me go to my fourth point, is that A.J. Brown, A.J. freaking Brown, he is one of the most beloved athletes in Philadelphia history. But he just has to cause public drama all the time, and I don't know why. Like, if he could just keep his mouth shut to the public, all would be well. Because nobody wants to trade him. No, well, actually, now you do have people that are starting to want to trade him, which is insanity. Insanity. There should never be any reason to get rid of A.J. Brown off of your football team. But you don't want to trade him. Everybody wants him to be happy here and to stay. Everybody wants to see him happy that he won a Super Bowl, wants to see him happy that he's getting, targets and receiving yards, happy that they're winning. But no, AJ's causing drama when they're undefeated. He's causing drama when they win a Super Bowl. He's causing drama. He's just like, he knows what he's doing. And I'm losing patience. And I'm never going to be on board with trading him to the day I die. Like, I don't care how much of a problem he is. I don't think I'm ever going to be on board with trading him. But I will say that he's absolutely causing problems for this football team. And he's making it more about himself than the team. And all the drama surrounding them with that has made them change their game plan. And that game plan isn't working. And it's losing them football games. A.J. Brown causing drama is losing them football games. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say that any one of those things is one thing that's causing them to lose football games. But you're slowly losing the team like already. It is there. I don't think it's too soon to say that it feels like 2023 when you had that collapse. I think we're lucky to say that we're 4-2 with the second best record in the league and have plenty of time to fix it. It's going to be a pretty long time before I say, I don't think they can fix this. And I know everybody's going to have their different opinions on where they stand right now and what they can do to fix it and whether they have faith in them or not. I don't really care. You should have faith in them. They're one of the most talented football teams in the league, and they still have a 4-2 record. They have not gone anywhere, and they're not. The season is not over. I know all of you are bummed out about the Phillies losing at the same time that the Eagles lost 2 football games in a row. It sucks. Everybody's pissed off. Do you hear my tone right now? I'm irritated. But point being is get realistic, dude. Like, they can fix this. Like, they have the talent there. Have some faith that they can turn this around and figure out what they're doing wrong, because you've got 18 weeks and we're in week 7.
Well, if I recall last year, I remember week 4 last year. That was last year, right? That we wanted to fire Sirianni?
Uh-huh.
That was last year. We wanted to fire Nick Sirianni, who ended up winning a Super Bowl. This town, obviously, we haven't been playing up even in our wins to expectations and how well we finished the year last year. And guess what? I don't know if we ever will, because that was perfect. We played perfect in the Super Bowl, perfect in the NFC chip, getting turnovers left and right and everything. It ended up perfect. This team can be that. Again, like, you didn't even go to the point of like that. We don't have a second corner on a team. Ringo looks horrible.
I was ranting for too long. I needed to like take a break there, but like,
I know, dude. It just keeps
there's
going.
More problems than what I mentioned. Like,
our D line having 9 sacks through
no pass
6
rush,
games,
no corners,
9 sacks through 6 games.
You got no pass rush, no corners.
Jalen Carter does not look like he could even start on every team in the NFL right now. He's been hurt. Yeah, sure, whatever. Also, he's been saying he's been out of shape since training camp. So, like, is he having a Super Bowl hangover? Does he really care? Does he just want his contract? And he doesn't want to force getting hurt, so he just not. Other than the field goal block, have you heard anything about Jalen Carter?
Nope.
No. And he's supposed to be a defensive player of the year candidate. Obviously, he wasn't even on the field during that Giants game. Like, nothing's going right on this team.
No, it's in disarray, which is why I had that was what I was trying to drive the point with the AJ Brown situation so hard for, because you're already having issues. Like, teams are going to have issues and things are going to go wrong. The fact that you're adding on to it so heavily with media, and gathering media scrutiny in a negative way in the midst of trying to figure out these other issues on the team, it's just incredibly selfish of AJ, and it's really frustrating because like I said, I love AJ not only as a football player but as a person too. Like, everything I've seen of him off the field, I think the guy's great, and I wish him nothing but the best. But it is really frustrating to see a guy who has a legitimate promo brand about checking on your teammates, and he's just throwing everybody under the bus for his agenda. Like, it's very contradictory to what he stands for. And I know it's easy to let your emotions take over in the moment, but like, it's really hard to address all these issues when you have to focus on AJ Brown.
Do you think some of that's Philly media just pressing too hard, and he hears this every single time he talks to the media? Is a question. Of course,
but I think that he has caused this. Do you see AJ? Do you see Devontae Smith getting that kind of scrutiny? Do you see him getting talked about in the media? No, they're on the same offense, having the same problems.
Yeah, Saquon and Jalen don't say anything.
And it's AJ gets talked about because he says things that are controversial. And I think he knows what he's doing in doing so. I think that he knows that, like we talked about last time on the podcast, is that it presses the envelope and it makes you have to fix the issue quicker, which I think is what he has in his mind. But I think he's also missing the point that it's just building up problems. It's just building up tension. It's just building up mental tiredness among the team. Sirianni's beard's getting awfully long. Do you think we're going to see him shave his head sometime soon for the turnarounds?
He should after the bye. Also, again, and just adding on to that, do you think it actually affects the team as a whole? Like, do we know that's the state of the team, or is it just a narrative that we create of I know he's answering these questions weird, but like even like last year with the book and everything, like in the like after clips of the Super Bowl, like Saquon was asked about it just in hindsight because they went through the whole season. They did like a recap video documentary thingy, and he's like, that didn't matter to the team. It was just funny. Like, how much of this do you think like actually plays like a narrative in like their heads every day?
I don't think it plays. I think it depends. I think
I know it's in our heads like constantly. You know what I
of
mean?
course,
Like from
of
a
course.
level to
And
us to zero. Where do you think like
we make it a much bigger deal than they make it. If you even watch the clip from this week of the media talking to AJ Brown and them saying like, "What is the demeanor of the locker room?" and he looked around and said, "Do you hear? Like, do you hear everything? Do you see like what I'm seeing? And everything seems okay to me. Like, everybody's upbeat, everybody's happy. Like it is absolutely a media narrative to drive that the locker room is unhappy. But I also feel that, resentful thoughts do start to build when that's the only thing that the team hears about. Like when you've got like last year, for example, when you had the drama with the book and whatnot, and with AJ and Jalen's relationship, you're getting Jordan Mailata and Landon Dickerson and Lane Johnson in interviews getting asked about AJ Brown. And them quite literally saying, "I'm really sick of hearing this. Like, can you ask about the football team and how we're going to win games?" Like, I think when it drags for as long as it has been, I think it starts to become like kind of just like a needle in your thumb, like it's nothing major, but I think that you certainly start to notice it. I don't think it's as bad as the media makes it out to be, like you said, but I do think that it certainly adds to the mental stress of things for everybody.
Well, good news is that we had like a base layer mini bye because we've obviously played last Thursday, just this Sunday, so it's gonna be 10 days of rest. How do you view this game going into Minnesota playing against? Obviously, it's just funny how things work out in life. It seems like Carson Wentz is gonna be a starter. I don't think JJ is gonna be taking snaps. I don't believe. Carson Wentz playing against this Eagles team, trying to get his revenge game versus a team that desperately needs to get it together. It's a funny narrative. What do you think about going into this game and seeing how do you feel about this game and like how it determines the rest of the season? Do you think of it as big as I think of it right now?
Yes and no. It's hard to say. Obviously, in the scope of it, 4-3 does not end things. I understand the implications of where it puts you and where it puts the mental state of the team if you lose 3 games in a row like that. Not to mention if you lose to somebody like Carson Wentz with the history that's there. I think the fact that the Vikings isn't getting me to that exact point where I'm like, it's the biggest game of the year. But at the same time, I'm with you that I think that they need to get back on track. And I think everybody felt that way for the Giants game and said going into that this was like a game that they need to go in and absolutely just whomp them, out of their shoes. And I think that you definitely have to play your best brand of football on Sunday. And I think that you need to stop this whole, pass the ball just to pass the ball, run the ball just to run the ball. Play your freaking game plan. Stop doing let the defense dictate what you're doing, right? Like, do a little bit of both. Is that so much to ask for? Like, I just don't understand why we can't manage to do both. But I hope that you can look at this and say, listen, Carson is known for making mistakes with his arm. If you can limit your mistakes on your end and let them make the mistakes that they're going to make, you can win this football game, right? If you just go out and do the game plan that you've always been doing, tell Jalen to be conservative. Again, I don't care. Tell him to be a little bit more conservative again. And here we go, like I've been all against this whole conservative shit. Excuse my language. But I'm also on the brand of like, for some reason, you keep losing confidence every time you try to jump ship. I wish you could do this balanced offense that we're begging for, but for some reason, it doesn't seem like you can. Do what you got to do. I don't care what that is. I don't know what that is. I'd like to see it be an in-between conservative and aggressive. But if you got to go full conservative, whatever. Like, as long as you don't make more mistakes than the other team this week specifically, you will win this game. And I'm confident in saying that. And you have to do whatever you can to get mentally tight enough to stop making all these stupid mistakes that you've been making the past few weeks, including like mental blunders and personal fouls and, whatnot. On the other hand, I'm freaking terrified about the corner situation. Not to mention, you've got Adoree Jackson covering Justin Jefferson, and oh gosh, I'm gonna have an aneurysm just saying that out loud.
Yep.
But
good.
outside of that, you do have Carson Wentz again, who we know likes to just launch the ball down the field. He's gonna go for it. So you might see some explosive plays out of them, and that's a little bit scary. So you're gonna have to find ways to try to suffocate Justin Jefferson into the middle of the field and give Adoree the help he's going to clearly need. So, you have to try to funnel him inward and try to keep him from, getting down the hash and, getting outside of you. So I think that you want to try to keep Justin Jefferson as short and in the middle as you can and let the other guys, on their offense fill in that role for them. Don't let Justin Jefferson beat you this week.
Yeah, that's easier said than done. I hope it
No
happens.
kidding.
If Q doesn't play, I think the line should be set at 250 yards or less for Justin Jefferson. Let's go into a guy that had 2,000 yards last year. I would like to use him a little bit more. Saquon Barkley. I know that our line's been beat up, and I know our line's been hurt. I feel like, is there any other way to run other than like smash up the middle or inside zone? Can we do anything else? Are we allowed to?
Would certainly hope so. And on that topic, I'm probably just as confused as a lot of other people in saying why have we stopped running the read option as well? Like, we've stopped using the read option. We've stopped using stretch plays or outside zones or tosses. We don't use screen plays at all outside of those abysmal wide receiver screens we've been doing for the past 10 years that for some reason will never leave our playbook. It's just it's a haunting measure on our team. Why there's no point in asking you why, because none of us know the answer. But it is really frustrating that there's so many ways these guys feel like they could open up their offense and they just kind of choose not to. And I always have this question of why, and we never seem to get it. Do you have any insight into like what you think it is that we kind of just feel stuck in our ways, or like, do you have any guess? I know you don't have the answer. Like, what do you think?
My feeling is that like we just get, when something doesn't work, like the way the play calling has been, and it's gonna be completely off. I hope I'm completely off, because this play calling would be stupid. But the way like you watch the game and you're like, all right, this drive, like we'll try to get to AJ, and then the corner's playing like 8 yards off him, and they're running like 8-yard curl routes. It's like, oh, I wonder why it's not going in. We do that 3 times in a row. Then we're like, oh, let's just give it up the middle to Saquon 4 times. He gets hit behind the line every time. And it's like, you guys there's no rhythm to the offense at all.
Nor is there any adjustments.
There's no mystery. There's no mystery what's going on. Like, predictable's been used 10 times when you interviewed 6 players like this week after the game, especially from Lane. He's like I was talking to my roommate Mike, and we're like, what do you think Fangio thinks of this offense? Like there's no way he's sitting there and just like I want to be scared of game plan for this offense. Like, this is easy. How to shut this one down? Like, come on. Like,
I told you in the beginning of the year that this offense should be a freaking nightmare to game plan for if you use it properly. And I guarantee if you're running a game, like, this is where I have a problem with the coaches, right? Because I don't know if it's a player's like comfortability thing or what their strengths are or what. Or if it's just a coach is stuck in their ways, I don't really know. But at some point, there's a part of me that's like, Jalen Hurts, we always hear about how willing he is to adapt and get better and do what it takes to take that next level step. you're telling me he's just so unwilling to run an offense under center that he's like, yeah, I know it would make me better, but I'm not going to do it. Like, that's where Jalen won't cross the line, and like Jalen, if it is a Jalen problem, dude, grow the heck up and figure it out, dude. You're an NFL quarterback. You're supposed to be a top 5 NFL quarterback by most people's standard. Not most at this point. Actually, you're losing people rapidly because you refuse to do things that seem elementary, like running an offense from under center, throwing the ball 10 yards downfield over the middle. It's getting frustrating because I've seen, like, even this season, you're seeing Jalen do it in spurts, but the wild inconsistency that we're seeing is, I don't get it. I don't understand it. How can you see Jalen go 14 for 17 with 180 yards and a touchdown in one half, and then go 1 for 11 in the next?
Up 17, and we ran the ball 6 times to Saquon. That's what I don't get. Like,
this is my point. I don't
by the way,
get it. Where is the disconnect? Like,
this is
if you were to throw away our coaches and pull in like the Bills coaching staff, let's just say we swapped them, would we be having the same problem? I don't know if it's the coaches or the players. I'm losing track, and it's getting frustrating.
Funny you mentioned the Bills because they're also at 4-2.
They are. They're having their own share of struggles over there. They're not off the hook. But my point being is when I look around the league, and that was just a gimme grab example, so don't take that too seriously. But when I look at these other teams around the league, it almost feels like just about every offense, even the bad ones, have more rhythm than we do. And I don't understand why that is. I don't have an answer for it.
At some point during the season, it really does. Like, it's just bizarre at this point. And there's nothing really, like, we could sit here all day and question. The only answer is just something's got to be figured out. And it's clearly not this. Like, I know it's like easy to sit here like on a couch and be like, oh, like, this offense isn't flowing correctly. Like, obviously, like, yeah, thanks, Steve from Plymouth Meeting sitting on his couch. But like, it just, they don't even try to be like run. They don't even try to like, I feel like they don't even have a script of plays that they're like confident in.
Exactly. And if they do, then they're sticking to it no matter what and not making a single adjustment.
Well, we've been good in the red zone.
Yeah, sure, I guess.
When we get there.
Yeah, and I can't go without talking about that, that Jalen, interception, like you said. He had his eyes locked on Jahan Dotson from the second that ball was snapped and had an A.J. Brown wide open in the end zone. So that kind of, when things like that happen, it does, lead me to believe that some of it is on Jalen. And like, of course, it's always been some of it's on Jalen, but maybe more so than I give it credit for sometimes. Like, he does have trouble scanning the field. I think that there's no getting around that. I think you have to admit that. He's never been quick to scan the field. But I feel like you have to do a better job of, scheming guys open then to adjust for that in a way, if that makes sense. Like, it doesn't feel like we've talked quite a few times on this podcast about scheming guys open and how other teams do it so well and why it feels like we can't do it. Like, you truly do have to find ways to get A.J. Brown moving around the field, getting him on mismatches that you want him to get on. In doing so, maybe do a facade in some movement with A.J. and getting Devontae the matchup that you want. And, just it's supposed to be like a game of chess. You want to set your opponent up in a way that you have the advantage. And it doesn't feel like we do that. It feels like we try to run and gun at whatever we're given and, just hope it works.
Well, I will say, I think the biggest thing that's been happening with this offense and kind of putting a thing to it is Jalen's biggest it factor is running the football. Mm-hmm. And the last 2 games, he has 2 rushes during the Denver game for 3 yards and 7 rushes for 13 against the Giants. Like, this is like, and I know like everyone's like calling him a running back. That's his attribute that makes everyone come to him. The linebacker called him. That's why we can run RPOs. That's why our run game was so successful last year, because of his ability to do that. Because or else you don't have to focus on him at all. And that's so huge. Of like Jalen not running the ball makes him such a mediocre quarterback. Like, I'll be honest. He's mediocre.
We've talked about this many times. Jalen is probably talent-wise like a middle-of-the-pack quarterback. He's 6'1", whatever. He's not very tall. He's not insanely fast. He doesn't have the best arm. But what he does have, paired with his mind and his ability to show up in big situations and like you said, be an impact in the running game and just be his own factor, something you have to worry about in the game plan, is what makes Jalen great. Jalen can beat you with his mind because you have to look at so many different options of where you can be beat. If Jalen's running the ball well, you got to worry about Jalen taking the ball. You got to worry about Saquon Barkley, the best running back in the league, getting the ball. You have to worry about Jalen pulling it and getting the ball quickly to A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith. But you're not doing that. You're not getting quick balls out. You're not running the RPO. You're not running read option. I don't get it. Again, we always come back to I don't get it.
Well, again, no, let's keep. I just found this out with the Jalen running thing. Come with me real quick. When you have your O line's not playing well, right? What did we do in high school when our O line was undersized and bad? Like you wanted to run option plays because that way you could put the defender in a position to make a decision. If they collapse on you, like you were saying, same thing, but it's like it doesn't make sense. Help out. Like your O line is struggling a little bit. Let's run plays that to their advantages, where maybe Landon doesn't have to get to the second level and sprint all the way down the field to get to a linebacker, like a safety. It would be nice. You can cater to your team too. Like you can make the team successful, and it feels like they just throw stuff out there. They're like, oh, this should work maybe.
Exactly. It almost feels like they intentionally choose not to do these things.
The route trees are awful too.
Awful. And it's not unrealistic to say that you're concerned with the team. I think everybody has reason to be concerned with this team, because if they don't figure this issue out sooner than later, it will continue to crumble. And luckily, we find ourselves in a position where we're 4-2, lots of season left, and we can fix this and grow from it. And if we can fix it quickly, then we will be the most dominant team in the league. I promise you this. Still to this day, we will be the most dominant team in this league this season if we can just get a little bit of rhythm in offense. Just a little bit. And, all right, to be fair, I'm a little bit concerned about the defense still with the lack of corner situation and pass rush. And I do think that I've been saying this since the beginning of the season. You're going to see Howie make a move for somebody somewhere. Whether it's a corner or pass rush or both, he's going to go after it. Not just somebody. He's going to go after a guy. Maybe not like a Pro Bowl level. I don't think he's going to be sending a first or second round picks. Huh?
So Darius Smith.
Yeah. Maybe let's not get guys that would prefer to be on their couch. But alas, you got to go out and get somebody, especially in the pass rush game. I know that we've been linked to Trey Hendrickson, and I'm curious to see if we're going to get linked to any corner names. But to be completely honest, I almost wish that you'd go after some of the older guys that have been sitting on their couch this year. You've still got, isn't Stephon Gilmore a free agent right now?
Probably.
I have not seen him play a single bad year of football in his whole career, including last year. Justin Simmons is sitting on his couch.
Yeah, I don't know what is up with him.
I don't get it.
He's 31 and he's I get Gilmore, he's 35 and kind of little older.
I understand him being back end, but I don't understand why you throw out guys like Ja'Cory Bennett and Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson, knowing damn well they're not going to do well, instead of just going and trying with somebody else. Maybe it's unfair of me to say that because I'm always on the side of like nobody lets anybody develop anymore or figure things out. But like Adoree Jackson is old and not figuring it out. And he's small. He's really freaking small. I don't know if anybody's noticed. He's very small. He can't keep up with these guys. All right? I'm sick of Adoree Jackson. And Keely Ringo, the project is over. I'm sick of hearing about potential. Potential is not showing up. So, like, I'm fully on board with you got to go out and get somebody and do it sooner than later.
How about a guy like Isaiah Rodgers?
I got a question. Sorry, what'd you say?
Go ahead. No, you go. I'm just being a dick.
I was going to say, if you had a choice today, you could trade for one or the other, which would you pick, a corner or a pass rusher?
A corner. And that's just so sad. It would just help us out. We're that bad at QB or CB2 right now. And I know I was like, give Adoree another shot and this and that. I was trying to like be on his side. When Q went out, it looked like it's the worst. It's might be the worst pass defense. It's horrible. We got to switch Coop to the outside. We got to do something and put Dean in like the nickel spot. I don't know. Or move. What do you think about Jahad Campbell move up to D-line? And I know it's not going to happen, but something's got to change.
Yes, it should happen. It absolutely should happen. You want your
outside linebacker.
You want your best football players on the field, no matter what. And you've seen what you can get in Jahad Campbell. You know what you have. We're almost halfway through the season. Give him some reps at the outside. We need pass pressure right now, and I think that there's no reason to not have all of your best guys on the field. Nakobe Dean is better than what we have out there, and not necessarily Zach Bond and Jahad Campbell, but
yeah, I know. But
you get my point. You want your best guys on the field, and
Jalen has been awful. Nolan Smith being hurt, it's just like not talked about enough.
It's not, and he's going to come back this season still, but it's
eventually.
It's an issue, and it's the lack of Jalix Hunt showing up. Everybody got a lot of faith in him this offseason, and he has not been doing anything, and it's frustrating, but we'll see. I very much hope that they'll go out and do something in both positions. I don't know to what extent, but I don't think that I saw in rumors already that Howie's been active this week in trade talks. And I don't think that that's much of a rumor. I think Howie's always going after that. Lastly, before we move on, and we'll talk a little bit about the upcoming game here. Well, we already have a little bit, so we'll just kind of give our score predictions coming up. But last thing. Oh goodness, I'm losing my train of thought. Where were we? What were we just talking about? I completely blanked.
Making moves.
Yeah, it was about Howie making moves. Oh, Brandon Graham. Do you think that they reached out to him, or would you want to see him, like, if he told me make a return or no? This is just a hypothetical. I'm not saying that we should. I'm just asking you.
God, I love you. That's our solution that we came to nowadays. The retired DN that is an all-time Eagle legend that played the most snaps in Eagles history. Let's go bring him back because that's how bad our D line is right now, Matt. Just think about that again. It's horrible.
There's a reason I bring it up.
He's in football shape. I'll take it. I'll take you if you're better than Jalix Hunt right now. I'll take Brandon Graham back, but he's not going to come back. But I can't believe that was so funny.
I only bring it up because did you see what Nick Sirianni said in his interview this week?
No.
They asked him if, like, on WIP during one of his interviews during the week. They asked him if like that had been a prospect for them, if they had reached out to Brandon about being in football shape, and Nick very much didn't shoot down. He actually made it sound like they've already reached out to him about it. Like he basically said, "Yeah, we're always looking for ways to make our team better, and we think of different ways to do that." And you know how he beats around the bush and never answers the question that he's asked. But more or less, he said, "Yeah, we reached out to him. He's not coming back, but we did check on it already," is what I gathered from it. But
oh Lord.
Yeah, it's
got screwed.
It's in dangerous territory right now. I mean, listen, man. Like I keep saying, it's really freaking nice that we're 4-2, but there's no getting around the fact that we are in the bottom 5 of every major category in the sport right now. You know, we're playing like a bad football team, it's plain and simple. And there's absolutely no doubt that this team is one of the most talented in the league, and that makes it possible for them to fix things. I'm going to sit here and have optimism that they will, because there's no reason not to. They certainly should. I think that a lot of things have been put into place for them to learn from their mistakes and to fix them and to grow from it. If they don't, I don't have a lot of answers for it. But I'm going to sit here and I'm certainly going to have optimism that they're going to figure it out, because this football team just won a Super Bowl and they're still sitting here with the second best record in the National Football League. So I'm not by any means ready to jump ship. I am certainly, and nobody should be for that matter. The fact that we're even talking about jumping ship in week 6 is ridiculous. Grow up, Philadelphia. But anyway, it had to be said. This team certainly has every chance to turn it around, and I have full faith. So with that being said, we've given all of our negatives. We've gotten our air out of our chest. Let's hear your score prediction for this week. What you expect? What do you think? Do we hear a loss?
You can't get a loss. I can't do it. I mean, I'm glad we didn't have score predictions last week, because that would have been funny. I can't go a loss. I really can't. I mean, this team is too talented to fail, and well, it has failed, but it really hasn't. It's I keep going back and forth. Your mind is just you keep looking at what's on your screen and you're like, oh, we suck. And then you like go back and you're like, do we? So, I mean, the Vikings are coming off a bye. They're a decent team. Don't get me wrong. They kind of remind me of the Eagles, like junior. Their defense has been back and forth. Obviously Carson's been playing okay. If JJ McCarthy were to play, that would have been great.
I'm more scared of Carson than JJ, 100%.
Yeah. Jordan Mason's been good at times when he's got a lot of touches. Obviously, Aaron Jones is hurt. But Jordan Addison and Jay Jets is a dynamic. That's a dynamic duo right there. And then T-Hawk. They have a very similar kind of offensive structure. I think ours is more upgraded overall. But again, if I need Q to play, I definitely need Q to play.
I don't think he's going to. And I almost think that you shouldn't play him out of safety.
Yeah, it's his hammy. But and then you got Landon questionable. I think that the Eagles find a way. Just have to believe it one more time. I'm not giving up fully, even if they lose this game. It's at the Vikings. I'm gonna go. They're gonna need to score. I'm gonna go. Let's have our offense do something. Let's go 38 to 31. I'm just high scoring ass game. Something completely different. You know, if the Q's not playing, the Vikings are going to put up points, and Jay Jets is going to murder us, as we saw. It's going to be like that preseason game. Our offense needs to get clicking. The Vikings defense has been decent. Isaiah Rodgers, AJ knows him from when he was on our team. I wish we had him on our team, but the Vikings have been decent this year. They're a very decent team. Like, that's about it. To be honest, they probably played better than us this year at times. They at least had one complete game against the crappy Bengals when they beat them 48-10. But other than that, like, the Vikings are very, very beatable, very exploitable. And I don't really trust the Vikings here. And not that I love the Eagles, but they're a better team overall. And like, you have to, something has to something has to happen. I know we curse a lot of episodes, Sean. I'm sorry, but just something has to happen. It's just hard. It's hard to know with this team, dude.
I'm sure Sean expected it after a few rough losses in Philadelphia. This was these past 2 weeks in Philadelphia have been 2 of the worst weeks in Philadelphia sports in recent memory. So, I'm having a hard time with my score prediction. I'm kind of jumping all over the place because I feel like Doctor Strange seeing out a million different scenarios in my head right now. Like, there's a lot of ways I feel like I could see this game going. And the one that my mind keeps coming back to is the fact that I feel like Justin Jefferson's going to get a few over on us. And I think that I'm going to put this score at a 30-24 win for the Eagles. My other problem is that with the way the offense is working, I'm having a hard time feeling like they're going to get 30 points, but I'm also feeling like they're going to win by more than a field goal. So it's a weird position for the Eagles right now. It's very hard to predict where they're going to turn out because obviously they're, they should be beating everyone 45-0 in my mind with the talent they have on their team. Maybe 45-14 because their defense could do some work. But, you get my point.
I need to see Saquon this week do something, and I'm calling out for him. I'm praying. I said AJ Brown won during the Tampa one, and he had a good game. So this week has to be a Saquon week. He hasn't had this is kind of crazy to say, a rush longer than 18 yards the entire season. The entire season he hasn't broke one.
Yeah.
It's been absolutely brutal. It doesn't look like him. He needs to get going, and he might be very much key to this offense of getting it moving and started. If he gets stop, and he's averaging his whole.
I completely agree, and I'm going to take it a step further and not even just say Saquon, but you just got to get the run game going to get some rhythm back in this offense. And I think I'm 100% with you that I think if you don't break out this run game, you're going to have trouble this game.
Jalen got to go too. I mean, that's all it comes down to. It's literally Jalen has to run the ball.
Week. Like you said, they are very similarly structured to us, and where we stand right now, I think that they're a pretty good test to where we stand at the moment. So I'm excited to see where it goes. Hopefully, we can come out with a much needed W to get us back on track, but we will see. So, thank you guys for tuning into this episode. If you got to watch it, if you enjoyed it, make sure you like the video. We appreciate it. It does a lot of good for us. So thank you. And if you enjoy our content, make sure you subscribe. We come back every week with reviews and previews of the previous game and the next one. So make sure you stay tuned for news, updates, and our reviews as well. So thank you guys for tuning in again. Sorry for the delay in getting out a couple episodes. We'll make sure this team doesn't lose again with our episodes. So make sure you stay tuned. But thank you guys one more time, and go Birds. Hopefully we can come back to you guys with a huge dub.
Let's go Birds.